Hi everybody, this is Alchemist2 and I'm back again with another series review. I just watched season 2 of Parks and Rec and it's actually a lot better than season 1. Season 1 is just your perimeter to the characters and what goes on and government. And what I find really funny is a lot of it is actually not that far from the truth, because I worked for government before. Not in that capacity, but I thought, oh my gosh. Yeah. One thing that kind of irked me, though, I know it was all tongue-in-cheek, but they said not very many famous people are from Indiana. I beg to differ, but anyway. I think they just meant that as sort of a jab, as to say, hey, you know, we're not that interesting. Well, maybe not, but, I mean, in some capacities, we aren't. It's known as the drive-through state, and Route 66 actually goes through us, and it's not California, it's not Florida, and it's, you know, we feel kind of underappreciated, and it's warranted, so that part I found it was actually funny, but this one, it talks about Tom's heritage and his background, and we all know that he's not really from South Carolina, and that he's Indian, and his real name comes out, and he said, well, if I had known Barack Obama, I would have been president. And that part I thought was really funny. I thought, oh, so we're getting relevant. And this season is really interesting because we have a lot of twists and turns, and lots of romantic interests in this particular go-around. And Leslie gets a boyfriend, and I'm not going to go into that because it's kind of sad what happens, because she realizes the guy is a jerk anyway. He's very selfish, and he's looking out for just stories to collect rather than her actual interest. And I thought, she deserves better. So, sorry, that was a little bit of a spoiler. I shouldn't have gone into it. But you have all these different romantic relationships that are taking place, and then they had a excuse me, they had a holiday called Valentines Day where all the girls celebrate and they give each other gifts, and I thought, you know what, that's not actually a bad idea, and maybe we should incorporate it. And one thing I really liked about this season was they were talking about government and service, and I thought, there's a lot of truth to that, because my father, he worked for the FSSA, excuse me. I'll get it right here in a minute. But he wrote grants, and those grants helped people achieve their dreams, and what I have in mind is something that will do that as well, but getting to that point is the hurdle I'm going to have to jump, but eventually I will. But it's something I'm feeling really passionate about. I've never really had this ardor about anything. The only things I feel extremely positive about are music, my faith, my friends, and my family. And this year's been it's been good. It started off really, really well. It's been going great guns. So all is tremendous. I'm getting off track though. Season 2 is really, really exceptional. It's much longer than season 1. Season 1, I think it's like with most sitcoms, when you get into it, you think, I'm not sure if there's any relatability. Actually, there is for me, just because I'm a Hoosier. And they've done more with the Pit this season, and she made it into this Christmas spectacle. And what was really sweet is they all waited for her to light the tree. I thought, oh, I mean, that part was very heartfelt. And they have this one character, I felt really bad for him. They explain a shlamach and a shlemiel, and I thought, yeah, I know this because I know some Yiddish. So Schlemiel is somebody who spills soup at a dinner. A schlemak is someone who gets soup spilled on them. So Jerry's both the Schlemiel and the schlemak. I thought, oh my gosh, that's terrible, but he really is. And you feel bad for his character, but you can't help laughing about it. It's sort of one of those Schadenfreude things, and there's a little bit of psychology that goes into that too. In my brain books I spoke of before, and how when somebody you don't like has something karmic happen to them, and you think, you got yours, and you think to yourself, I'm a terrible person, I really shouldn't have felt that way. But I think all of us, in some capacity, get a little bit of a jolly out of seeing one of our enemies suffer. And I mean, there's just something so satisfactory about that. But I myself, I still feel pain when somebody I know who hates me suffers, just because I think, what did they do to deserve it? Although I know full well, it's usually because they said something really obnoxious or off color to me. Some people, meanwhile, they just don't know how to come across as caring and compassionate, and they're just impolite. They don't know any better, or they don't know, or they weren't taught. Some people just don't have the background. So you have to it's all about, this is about respect. The whole season itself is about respect. It's about integrity. It's about just dedication. Her dedication, Leslie, I really like Leslie. Leslie's a lot like me. The reason I say that is I'm not bad at love like she is, but she's a disaster when it comes to romance. But but she has a lot of gumption. She doesn't let anything defeat her. She just there's one episode, one of my favorite episodes of this season is where there's a historical gazebo. I'm gonna give a spoiler, excuse me, I shouldn't, but this is good though. There's a spoiler about this gazebo, and the lady that she worked with before in the beauty pageant, she's kind of this hoity-toity, stuck-up little twat. Sorry, there's no other word for it. But I love the word twat, though. And she's married. She's a gold digger. She's married to this very rich and important man who's in a wheelchair on his last legs. Man, I'm just full of puns today. But this was a gazebo where an interracial marriage happened between a Womapoke chief and a white woman, and nobody knew about it. And once they did, this melee broke out, and only 2 horses survived the attack. I thought, oh my god, holy crap. But she was bound and determined for the gazebo to stand, even though, you know what, actually, this happened in real life. I think they took a page out of actual history, because when I went to Pleasant Hills, Kentucky, they were going to build a golf course on the grounds, and I love history, and when I heard that, ooh, my ire went up, even though I'm not from Kentucky. But it made me so mad. I thought, oh, how dare them. It's like, oh, it's to attract the tourists. And I'm thinking, seriously? You're thinking about money? Yeah, I know history doesn't really draw in the big bucks, but come on. When I went to Mount Vernon, they didn't do that. Mount Vernon, was, unless they changed it, if they changed it, oh, I'm going to be upset. But I thought, whoa, I mean, this is art sometimes imitates life, but they probably built that golf course, the greedy bastards, excuse me, but I guess you got to make a living somehow. But Anyway, in that particular episode, she chained herself to the gate thinking that the gate would open in the middle, but it was just sideways entry. I thought, oh no, Leslie, she had great intentions, and everybody was there to support her. And it was a very moving, sweet episode, and that was my favorite of all the episodes. But the lady that she worked with was just unapologetic and just celebrating everything, including her anniversary. And I just thought people like that need to be slapped. But there was a lot that I really enjoyed about. That was one of my favorite episodes. Another really sensational one was the Valentine's Day dance. I thought that was so cute. That's at the senior center. That warmed my heart when Mouse Rat was playing out the old-fashioned favorite songs. Apparently, Andy is not a hipster because he is not familiar. I thought, how could you not be familiar with standards? Apparently, he wasn't brought up like I was because Mom and Dad got me into all the oldies but goodies. Thank God. But the other episode I like is called The Camel. And this is a slight spoiler too. And sorry for all the spoilers. Usually I don't spoil things, but this is another excellent episode. But they are supposed to put together, every department was supposed to put a mural together. And of course, Mark, Mark is such a sweetheart. He says once they do put their mural together, they all chip in and just put in different elements that are just, they make no sense whatsoever. That what is this atrocity? And Mark said we all had really good ideas and intentions from the start. We were going to create a horse, but it's turned out to be a camel. And what a camel it is. And they did something that they all enjoyed doing. It made them laugh. It brought them together. And I thought, aw. I mean, there's something to be said about that. There's something very essential, I think. And that episode, I think everybody should watch, especially people in government. I know it's probably... there are a lot of life lessons. I just realized that there are a ton of life lessons in this show. And I actually bought the Pawnee book by Leslie. I haven't read it yet, but I'm excited to now. It was the only one left on the shelf. I thought, But another side note, a little bit about my background. Interestingly enough, Leslie's middle name is Griggs. My grandmother's middle name was Griggs. My dad's middle name was Griggs. Yes, they were in politics. I've gone over this before. I'm probably beating a dead horse. But it begs the question if the characters, if the writers and staff and producers of Parks and Rec actually borrowed a little bit of something from my history. So I wrote to them thinking, please write me back. I haven't heard anything back from NBC. Usually when I write to NBC, I hear things back like I have before. But we shall see. I wrote to them, and then I had a crazy idea to give Lily Singh my link for A Woman of a Thousand Faces, because she's my main character. I made her the heroine of that particular story because she's perfect for it. I also thought I would do Queen of Memes would be another role that I could definitely see her in, and I probably will send her that link as well. Maybe it's a little bit too soon because I already sent her one email and I don't want to overwhelm her with stuff. But I just thought, you know what, I'm going outside my comfort zone. I'm writing to people that inspire me, and she definitely inspires me. We'll see what happens. I don't know. She's extremely busy, and she's got a lot of things that she's doing, and she's doing good for everybody, including her project for Girl Love, which I highly support. And I think it's really ambitious and quite admirable and laudable that she's doing something like that, because there really needs to be more initiative for such positive kind of programming or ideas or organizations, I should say, maybe movements. Or hers is a movement, excuse me. Hers is a movement. Positive movements. But that's all I got to say about Parks and Rec. I'm looking forward to watching season 3. And now I have the original Twin Peaks. Of course, I can't get Firewalk. They had Firewalk with me over at Barnes & Noble. I wanted to buy it. I thought, I got kind of upset. But they have the whole original Twin Peaks, which I haven't really watched. I watched the Return because I only had seen the original. I get what was going on, kind of, sort of, even though it's really weird, but probably one of the strangest things I've ever watched on television other than Falling Water. But I'm going to watch the whole season, and hopefully it will make the Return make more sense, if anything. Highly doubtful, but it'll give me more background. So until next time, live long, prosper. Ciao, Titi.